All right, good evening and welcome everyone to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we have the Area 51 TWM Motorsports Super Speedway Truck Series, and it is playoff time. It's going to be our first of 4 races of the playoffs. Start tonight with Talladega. I believe next week Daytona, or actually no, next week we'll be off Thanksgiving. Apologies. And say then after the Thanksgiving break, then it'll be Daytona followed by Talladega twice in a row to finish off the season. So it's going to be 8 drivers vying for that championship this season. As always, 75 laps the race distance here tonight. Drivers start right now putting down their qualifying laps to get things kicked off, but we'll pull up our standings coming into this evening's event. So you see the standings there up on the top. So here are our top 8 drivers again going for the title. We'll include Gabe Butler, J.D. Crow, Joe Delavecchia, Steve Korosek, Sebastian Marin, Robert Rock, Bud Steele, and Dean Wilkinson. As you can see also on the points, I say there's no bonus points for the wins or anything like that. It was even if you got the wins, it didn't lock you in. You had to make sure you had the sufficient points to make that happen. And so that's what we see here tonight. Everybody reset to 1,000 points, and then from then on, it's whoever gets the most points out of these four races these last 4 weeks. So obviously, the regular season been pretty much dominated by Sebastian Marin. He's just been on a mission. We've seen Gabe Butler was also getting a win as well. And then last week, I'll say not a playoff driver, but also always one to watch as well. Patrick Groover, we saw him get that win last week. So I'm looking to see, I don't see the Groovers here this evening. So say that might be kind of a blessing for some of these other playoff drivers, not having to fight with some of those guys that we're used to seeing up front week in and week out. So with that though, we'll pull that back on down. And with it being a playoff race, it's always fun to have some extra friends in the booth with me. And so I was able to grab a couple, actually both people I've broadcast with plenty of times before, one of which we haven't seen in a while because he's been stuck at work nonstop, but luckily able to steal him away for a little bit here. So that's going to be Dale Knott. So Dale, a pleasure to have you. And then also we've got Brandon Webb, who's same thing. He's been traveling. He went to the race at Phoenix. He's back home again. So I was able to wrangle him as well. So Brandon, also good to have you guys. So yeah, it's playoff time with the trucks this time. And so we've definitely been here, done that with the Xfinity cars, but these trucks, you guys haven't really got to see a lot, but definitely put on a different kind of show. These things definitely a little bit wiggly when it comes to the tandem drafting. I think that's going to really come into play here tonight.
I'm sorry, Dale. I was actually able to get out there during practice and watch some of these guys and get in there and mix it up a little bit with them. You know, it's really interesting. These trucks aren't like the other vehicles that race on these super speedways. They get out there and they can get uncomfortable around each other. But yet these guys, I think you'll see all night, they're going to be 3 and 4 wide, and it's going to be quite a show. Dale?
Yeah, I was just going to talk about, how racy these trucks are. Obviously, they're not as fast as other cars, but, you're able to get up to the bumper. You're able to touch and bang and make contact in ways that you physically can't do in the modern Cup car, in the Xfinity car, due to the beach ball effect, as they talk about, in the NASCAR broadcast.
Yeah, that's exactly the in iRacing, that the Cup car, the next gen car. Like you said, you get that bubble and you're pretty much stuck there, but it's definitely not the case here. These trucks definitely are able to get locked onto each other. The trick is getting locked on and staying locked on comfortably. It's when you see that little bit of the offset is where we've seen a lot of trouble throughout the course of the season. That being said, the drivers have really adjusted well. They've kind of found what's worked, what doesn't work, and improved on it. And the thing again, Talladega is nice and wide. Daytona's always a little sketchy to try to pull that third lane. It won't be any hesitation for these drivers to jump in that third lane here tonight, and we'll probably see it pretty early on and pretty often.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting race. Anytime we come to Talladega, the fans just cheer for me specifically. But, the really fun thing is, like you mentioned, Yael, when these trucks get hooked up, they can create a lot of speed and a lot of energy. But when they get just off sequence a little bit, 2 things that I see happen on a pretty regular basis are, number one, those 2 trucks are going to lose a ton of momentum. And number 2, that's when the accidents start happening. So hopefully we won't see too many bumpers getting hooked and see the big one during this race tonight.
Yeah, exactly right. And so I'm going to say right off the bat, I'm very happy that I had I pushed to talk on instead of voice activation, because yeah, you got me on that one. That was a good one there. But with that, we've got our qualifying, looks like has just finished up here. So we're going to pull up our starting grid for tonight. And it's going to be Sebastian Marin yet again, another pole position for him. Next to him, you've got Zachary Lima, Steve Krosek third. Then you got Gabe Butler, Joe Delavecchia, Eric Laurie, JD Crow, Robert DuPont, Michael Spell, and Bob Fitzgerald are top 10. We're going to keep going down the line a little bit here. You've got 11th Keith Horner, 12th Chummy Miller. So that's a new, I think that's a nickname. We're going to have to find out, maybe get a top 3, can get some answers on that one. Then you got Dustin Lamb, Robert Rock. Brennan, you're not actually racing, so sorry, you're not going to qualify 15th. Then we got BK Anderson, Nicholas Lamb, Bud Steele, James Hickson, Todd Siebels, Corey Lane, Dean Wilkinson, Jeff Lamb, and Paul Perry in 24th. And then continue round, we've also got Randy Miner, Michael Taylor, and Jacob Lamb, our 27 drivers. So actually 26, I believe, taking part in tonight's event. And yeah, so say over on YouTube. So yeah, Dean, good luck to you as well. So I know you're in part of that championship 8. So good luck to you as well, sir. And then yeah, so we've got the family of Lambs. So that's the way to bring those guys up. Like I mentioned, you got Jacob, you got Jeff, Nicholas is in there as well. I think there's Dustin as well. So I think 4 of them. And it looks like they've also adopted Chummy Miller. So again, well, maybe we'll be able to find out some info. Okay, nickname for Chummy Miller. So I'll say we can get some insight on that one there.
If that's the 10 car you're referring to, that would be a Mark Miller.
That is indeed the 10 car. So yeah, so Mark Chummy Miller, I guess, is what we'll have to be going with. I'll say I won't remember, so it's probably going to be Chummy all race long. And I'll say hopefully no shenanigans on that one. But that being said, we've got some strategery going on here tonight, Brandon. Because I'm seeing some of our top running drivers here opting not to start from the grid here this evening. Our pole sitter, looks like, I think the Dale Cup guy is actually basically making the call here. They want to go ahead and start from the pits here. So that's going to be Zachary Lima, Steve Krosek, Joe Delavecchia, and it looks like also BK Anderson and Sebastian Marin. So this could be interesting to see how this one shakes out. So what this basically is going to do is it's going to put the front row now to be Gabe Butler and JD Crow. So same again, playoffs, you never want to get caught up in early incidents here, so that might be the strategy for these guys. We've seen it done before with the Boot Knocker team, Dale. I know you've seen that, and we've seen it into great success. They were able to start from the pits and charge right back up to the field over the course of a fuel run. So let's say we're seeing the same thing tonight, but this time with the Dale Cup guys.
Yeah, it's an interesting strategy for sure, but if practice is any indication, I think that these guys are probably just trying to play it safe. I mean, we were seeing 4 wide on a regular basis in practice, and if you're running for a championship, that is not the position you want to be in.
So yeah, so we'll have to wait and see how that comes up to play. But say again though, they've got really good group of trucks though with them there. Like I said, they got the 95, the 49, 23, the 052, and the 32. So I believe 3 of those drivers are playoff contenders. So let's say again, that could be also again critical juncture. Again, because also if you can get a clean race, 0 incident points, that's 3 bonus points. That's huge for these drivers. That could always come into play as well. So what this could do though, again, JD Crow, Gabe Butler, they're also 2 of the championship contenders. This could at least make life a little easier, get that lap lead bonus point right off the bat. So we'll see if the 35 and the 1, if they try to work together, maybe try to kind of battle with each other to get that first lap lead, as we're going to see the race here. Well, actually, I'd say pace car is going to duck off here, but of course, we'll pull a Larry Mack here, but because start finish line, it is not right there at the middle of the tri-oval. You have to go all the way through before you get to it. So that initial green flag is on the flagman, so they got to wait all the way through the tri-oval here. And then we'll get things kicked off again. 75 laps is our race distance tonight, as the green flag is out and we are down and away. 75 laps here. So far, so good. Pretty calm start here from the field. You see a little bit spread out in the second pack. We got a couple of drivers dropping straight to the back there. believe that is James Hickson is one. I think Robert Rock, Robert Rock, also one of the playoff contenders. So you can see right now, I think the playoff drivers, for the most part, a lot of them playing very cautious here right off the bat. JD Crow, Gabe Butler, like I mentioned, they're just going to try, I think, control this race here. But right now, it looks like JD Crow is going to be in that ideal spot here to try to lead lap number 1.
Yeah, you know, I think as these cars are coming up to speed, this outside line is going to have a chance to kind of make a little bit of headway. But as the race progresses, especially as tires wear out, it'll be interesting to see how these cars are able to manage the draft, how they're able to manage each other. But it looks like those front 2 cars, especially that were on the outside line, have moved down in front of the leader now and have taken control of the race early on.
Yeah, Eric Laurie giving his teammate Gabe Butler a big push. I thought everything was looking good for JD, but Eric had other plans. He shoved his teammate to the front, so now they're going to have control of this one. And right now, there's not a lot of organization up top, so I think right now they can just kind of do what they're doing. But I was going to mention, though, is on the strategy of those guys starting from the back with Steve Krosek. Looks like he's going to be leading that pack behind. It's going to be watching the intervals basically from them to that group in front to look at those lap times, because I think that's going to be the crucial thing. So we'll see if and when, how long it'll take for them to get up there, because the timing and scoring, of course, is going to kind of have to get all up to date here. So you can see all the timing they're jumping around just that little bit here. But as I say, that last time by those Dale Cup guys right off the bat, almost about 0.6 of a second quicker than our race leader in the 1.
Yeah, you know, a lot of the races we've called in the past, Kyle, we watch the race progress, and the strategy kind of comes and goes in a slower manner. You know, you may see a few laps without a lot of changing positions, but you're not going to see that tonight. You're going to see these positions change on the scoreboard, you know, lap after lap. You know, and while the lead spot may stay the same for a few laps, you know, from 5th on down, I don't think you're going to see any laps match the one prior to it.
Yeah, exactly right. And again, we'll keep on the lap times as they go. But already, though, that group behind with the Dale Cup guys, I mean, they're basically about 1.5 seconds off of James Hickson, who's the last truck in this lead pack here. He's actually honestly in danger of losing that draft a little bit to Jacob Lamb right in front of him. But again, this time actually a full second faster for Steve Krosek over Gabe Butler. So yeah, it's not even a matter of if, and honestly even of when. It's going to be basically another lap or so, and they're going to be right in this lead pack here. However, one driver that's going to get the short end of the stick here is going to be the 32 of BK Anderson. He also started from the pits. Not sure if that was to work with the Dale Cup guys or may have just missed the grid. Unfortunately, he was not able to tag on to the draft, so he is off on his own, about half a lap down already here in that 32.
Yeah, I'm looking at BK Anderson and Bob Fitzgerald. Both of those guys have lost the draft of the cars ahead of them by a sizable amount, and that is huge right now. We're looking at tri-oval speeds of this pack in front of them of, you know, mid 190s, 193, 194, maybe 195 going into turn 1, and these cars without a draft are barely breaking 170. So, you know, they've got to hope for either a lucky dog or some good break with the cautions here pretty soon. Otherwise, these guys are going to get swallowed up by the lead pack very quickly, and that second pack has already caught the leaders.
Yeah, say 5 laps. If anybody was trying to keep track at home, how long was it going to take 5 laps for those Dale Cup guys to get up into the mix here? And I'm by saying, but with that though, I think that you're seeing some reactions from that, because I see Dean Wilkinson, one of our playoff drivers, he jumps to the top of the track here. He, I think, wants to see if he can be that one to lead that outside line, but actually, I was going to say that he ducks back into that second row. But yeah, these guys are heading up with a big head of steam right now to that lead pack here. And yeah, the other thing to mention, of course, as well, we talked about fuel window, is going to be in the low 20s roughly. Might be able to save a little bit extra in the drive. I'd say 23 might be about the full length if you're kind of going full fuel save that whole run. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. It should be pretty much a 3-stop race no matter what here tonight. But right now, like I said, the one's still leading the way, but we'll look out the back of that one truck so you can see on that outside corner, here comes Steve Krosek leading that charge.
Yeah, I'm watching these guys, and if I remember correctly, these are the guys that started from the pits, but I'm not sure what that strategy was for at this point, because maybe they just wanted to all get together. But, you know, if the strategy was to play it safe and to bide their time and see what happens with the rest of the pack, they've definitely thrown that out the window now, keeping it 3 wide for the past 2 or 3 laps, and they're challenging for the lead coming out of the tri-oval.
Yeah, so you can see right there, Eric Laurie got a little off center there from Gabe Butler. That's going to cost the inside line a little bit of momentum. That's going to allow JD just a moment to have that nose ahead. Not sure if he had the nose ahead at the line, but I'll say we're talking about a pre-race, and I'll say we're seeing it now. I was mentioning we're not going to see probably two-wide single file racing very often. And say we are yet again here 3x3, looks like 4 rows deep if I'm not mistaken. And getting a little bit info as well for BK. I guess he's actually kind of getting some new equipment tuned in here. So I say maybe again just like hopefully get a timely caution, maybe a lucky dog. Get him where he can kind of get that truck, kind of get it filled in a little bit better, get it comfortable with him, and then be able to do that. But up front, though, say Gabe's not going to just cruise here. He's going to now move to the middle groove. That's moving now JD Crow to the outside here. At the line, I think JD Crow now does get a lap lead in that number 35.
Yeah, what I'm seeing is kind of an interesting development. We've got them 3x3x3 for about the first 3 or 4 rows, and then you're starting to see guys back off a little bit. I don't think everybody in that pack is very comfortable with the 3-wide racing, and you know, so the easiest thing they can do is back up a little bit, keep their nose in the draft, but not be in the mix and try to keep their car out of danger if this 3-wide racing breaks loose into a problem.
Yeah, I mean, talk about playoff drivers. We've got Gabe Butler's right there with them, JD Crow, Steve Krosick, Sebastian Marin, Joe Delavecchia is in this group as well. So, I mean, we've got a lot of our playoff contenders right here in this lead pack. And then you go a little further back and say that's, I think, where we see the drivers being a little more cautious. But still in the 6 truck, he used this to his advantage perfectly last week to get into the playoffs in that 6 machine. Got the bonus points and was able to avoid the wrecks to get in a really good position there. So I think Bud's saying that he's kind of playing it safe. Dean Wilkinson doing the same for 55 truck. Although for Dean, maybe a little further back than I'd like to be, almost a second now off of Randy Minor. I think still okay. But he's also got Robert Rock, another playoff driver, with him as well. So right now, like you said, kind of a mixed bag of aggression versus kind of cautiousness on these opening laps. So, as I say, that had a little bobble from which is pretty typical of plate racing. I mean, we see it in NASCAR as well when they get to Talladega. You'll see some of these playoff drivers, they'll just kind of ride in the back and wait till it's really crunch time to really make that big move. I think we're kind of seeing that right now as well with these guys.
Yeah, I think there are 2 approaches when it comes to plate racing like this. You've got the Dale Earnhardt approach and you've got the Mark Martin approach. The Dale Earnhardt approach is let's go out there and lead every lap. If we're in front, then we're the only car that can cause ourselves a problem. The Mark Martin approach is let's give everybody a little room. Let's back out of the pack. Let's ride for a little while because it's going to be a long race. I couldn't tell you which one's the better approach, but you've got to find the strategy that works for you, and really you got to get to the end of the race before you can win it.
Yeah, same with the 3 pit stops. I'll say again, this all based on green flag running. I say for me personally, I say I'm typically more of the Mark Martin approach at these plate races. Although I can't say it may not be the right move for me because I'm usually not really in contention for a lot of these races that I've been a part of at these plate tracks. So we'll have to just wait and see. But the thing that's going to happen right now, though, they're coming up quickly on BK Anderson. But you look right there, look at BK, though, go straight to the apron. Saying again, we talk about the respect from these drivers. BK knows these guys were running 3x3, and I say again, he's got a little bit of banking there on below that yellow line, so he should be able to safely do that, which he has, and might be able to even tag onto the back of this draft here, and then hold to be that, try to stay as that first car now, or truck, I should say, 1 lap down.
Yeah, that's a veteran and classy move by BK there. You know, all he can do at this point is just kind of bide his time, hope for a caution, and catch that lucky dog award. But, you know, dropping down to the apron and staying out of the way of these leaders, it's just about the classiest thing you can do.
So far, so good for Gabe Butler. He's been able to actually control the pace. Says my four-legged announcer here wants to chime in as well. Apologies. But right now, Gabe's actually held pretty strong on the inside. We saw him move to the middle once to kind of try to slow the momentum down. But he's come back to his teammate in that 071 pair of glory. As right now, say they're pretty even lead. Again, Gabe just a nose ahead by maybe half a tenth, if that. We've got Steve Krosick in that middle, Sebastian Marin on the outside here. Like I said, it's been pretty much a Sebastian Marin season, so he's definitely wanting to try to continue that trend through the playoffs right now. And so, yeah, so right now he's gotten there, but he's still got a little bit more to go to try to get that lap lead.
Yeah, at this point, I think a lot of the guys, especially you can see that bottom line, just kind of seems to be the longest line there. I think what's happening is you're going to see pits pit stop's coming up here in about 10 laps, and the safest place to be for a pit stop is on the bottom line. No one can block you out of your pit. So right now, I think some of these guys are just riding, but man, these front 2 or 3 rows are just a ball of cars for sure.
Yeah, as I was a little nervous right there. I saw a little bit of that bobble in the middle groove, and I said that's when you start to get nervous and they can catch it in time and kind of get it squared away. And I believe it was actually, I think it was JD Crow that was in that position. I say not surprised to see him easily hitting onto that, but yeah, it definitely caught my attention there as well. But then we talked about last time we saw the announcement would be Bob Fitzgerald that they're pretty quickly approaching on. The other part for Marco is I think that's why he fell off the pack, was he dropped to the back because of his connection issues. And I think that's exactly why he's kind of fallen out of this lead pack. And I think we're about to see the exact same thing that we just saw from earlier. And yeah, there goes Bob. He's going to go straight to the apron here through the tri oval. Again, lets these guys go on through. So now he's got to hope that he gets a little bit of breathing room. Maybe see if he can swing on up here. But looks like Bob's actually he's going to roll out of this one completely. He gets a little flat there. Yeah, that's what I was nervous about there. He gets a little bit too flat. He's going to hang on to it. Good save by Bob there, but unfortunately that's going to yet again cost him that lead pack draft with that little bit of a bobble.
Yeah, where the pack caught him there is just an unfortunate spot. When BK was coming through the turn, he had the luxury of the banking there on the apron. Coming through that trial area, it's pretty much completely flat there on the banking. So, unfortunately for Bob, he kind of had to back out of it there, and then to stay out of everyone's way coming into one, he kind of had to stay on the flat as well. But hopefully he can get things righted and maybe catch some good luck as well and get back in this race.
I'm saying while we're watching now, there's some big moves because I'd say all of a sudden we see the outside line was the 23 and the 49. They found their way to the inside line, and we saw that he made a big move to get to the inside of Gabe Butler. Gabe tried to hold it off, and then as soon as he cleared, he jumped right back in front of that one truck. So I say again, I think the aggression starting to kind of pick up just a little bit. Again, bonus points always crucial here. What this has also done is it's kind of separated the teammates a little bit. We mentioned the one in the 071. They've now been able to get themselves separated from the inside and middle lines. But now you've got the Dale Cup guys running first leading the inside line, middle line, and the outside line here.
Yeah, this track is so wide that it really creates 3 different grooves and 3 different ways to drive the track. When you're down on the inside line, you've got that line on the inside of you to kind of gauge things off of, and usually the car behind you and the car behind him they're just going to stay right in line. So it may be even a little bit easier to maintain, locking up those bumpers, keeping everything together. But the second line, you've got two lines of moving cars on either side of you, so a little bit tougher. That outside line, you just got a lot longer to go, but you can keep it wound up a little bit. So, I'm still seeing these guys jockey for position, and it looks like whenever one line clears the other, you see somebody move down just like that right there.
I say, yeah, Joe, the power move there, straight from the top to the bottom, and then right behind him, it was Zachary Lima going from the top to the middle there. And like I said, it's just where that momentum is when you get the push at the right time. And man, I mean, again, we haven't even got to our first pit stop here, but you can tell it's definitely not going to be for these guys. They're not just going to ride and kind of let things kind of fall as they may. They're going to try to control this race, and we're seeing some big moves from a lot of these drivers here to try to control this race. And saying again, that's where it makes me a little nervous because that's where that pushing, the bumping is going to get a little more aggressive, and if they just get 100% of these trucks are very sensitive with it. So I'll say so far they've gotten away with it, but I think that's why we see some of those drivers like we talked about, Bud Steele, Dean Wilkinson, Robert Rock. They've kind of cruised to the back a little bit, saying, yeah, I'm going to let you guys kind of have at this for a little bit. We'll see what things look like after our pit stops.
I think these guys I'd like to think at least that these guys are ramping up the intensity just to get to the inside line. It looks like we've calmed down on the 3-wide racing, but it looks like the single file on the inside line has just gotten tighter and tighter as that's happened. But they've got pit stops coming up in the next few laps, and nobody wants to be caught on the outside line when that happens. So
yeah, I think that's what you're seeing right there. You see, it's only 2 now trucks on that middle to outside groove.
Yeah, it was pretty intense there, and some of these holes that they were making for themselves were not much bigger than the truck. But that's what you got to do in this kind of racing. You got to get down to that inside line and be in the position you need to be in, when the time is right.
Yeah, so right now the kind of the odd man out, if you will, are Keith Corner there in that 37 truck, trying to find a way to get down here. I believe also Dustin Lamb, in that 010, trying to see if they can find an opening here as well. Looks like there's one spot right there. He's going to sneak right in front of the 45 of Todd Siebels. You see the second attempt for Dustin. He can't find an opening there yet. But I think, actually, I say here comes pit stop. So say a little earlier than scheduled, or I should say than field requires here. But we had almost a big moment there. I saw one truck have to peel off back out onto the racing surface. I think that was the 32 possibly. But we've got about 10-15 trucks here hitting pit road.
Yeah, BK locked up those brakes. I don't know if he was expecting it. When he came down for the pit road entry, he hit the brakes, and they just did not work for him. So he made a last-ditch effort to get back out on the racing surface and just barely missed the commitment cone. So bad luck for him, but at least he didn't get that pit road penalty and was able to keep going.
Yeah, and so say this is just strategy right here. So basically what's happening is these guys all pitting earlier. It's a little less fuel they have to put in these trucks. That should make the pit stop a little bit shorter. So now the question is, the strategy, of course, is now what did the Dale Cup guys do? Do they react to it? And the answer is no, they're going to keep going. And this could be the right call because, again, we talked about at the beginning of the race, they started from the pits. I mean, they were running half a second to a second quicker for the most part right off the bat here. So I'll have to keep an eye on them, see what they're looking at. Looking at pit lane times, or I should say pit stop time, apologies. Looks like mid to high 11 seconds is pretty much the average for these drivers making their pit stops there on that last time by on lap number 18. But like I said, I mean, that was, well, basically we've got, what, seven drivers who have yet to make their first pit stop. So, I mean, that tells you how many people pitted there on that, just that last lap.
Yeah, it's definitely chopped up the field a little bit. You're going to have packs of cars right now that are going to be 3 and 4 car packs, and it'll take a little bit for them to kind of compress back down. I don't think anybody's worried about tires at this point. You don't need them quite to the same extent that you would at some of the other tracks. But right now, it's going to be interesting for a few laps while we watch the field. It's spread out, it's expanded right now, but it's going to start coming back together here pretty soon, and I think that intensity is going to come right back.
Yeah, saying the Dale Cup guys, that was probably one of the most exciting pit entries I've seen with the essay, and that's even with the teammates working. A little overshoot there for Steve Krosek. Actually a big overshoot. This is going to really hurt Steve, unfortunately. He's still trying to get that truck lined up, so he's going to fall way off the draft here, unfortunately. You see, just as he gets settled in, there go his teammates right now, just leaving pit road. So unfortunately, it's going to be a heartbreaker for Steve. He's going to need some help, I think, to be able to get back into the mix, but he might get that depending on where the other trucks are in relation to him as he heads out. But right now we're going to watch from Joe De La Vecchia. We're going to look out the back of this truck to see how he comes out in relation, because I believe it's Gabe Butler that was leading that pack that came in a little earlier. And then we'll look at our pit stop times to see kind of how they compared. And as they get back up speed, there goes the one truck. He's going to swing on by them. You see, moves to the middle line, give him some room to merge back up. But yeah, so it's going to be Gabe Butler who's going to take the lead here back after our first set of pit stops.
Yeah, these team guys, man, they've got the strategy worked out. I think they're going to catch on to the end of this pack and they'll work themselves back up. But heartbreak in the pits for some and triumph for others.
Yeah, it's as a whole, it looks like we're going to probably still hold on to about, looks like 14 trucks in this lead pack here. But I think we're seeing some teamwork right off the bat right away here, because you look at this 23 Sebastian Marin. And also, I believe just in front of him, Joe De La Vecchia. They're dropping up to the top here. I think they're slowing down their pace. They want to go back and pick up their teammates and try to bring them back into it. So Zachary Lima, yeah, he's backing down for Steve Krosek. Again, he had that pit miscue where he overshot his pits. So Zachary backed off to pick him up. And now they're going to try to tandem their way back up to Joe and to Sebastian. So again, I mean, if there's a time to do it here, we're still really early. We still got 2 laps left in this one here, Brandon. So, again, just the dedication to the teams that we see from a lot of these drivers, these teams, is pretty remarkable.
It is. I'm looking at the live timing now, and it looks like that pack, of Zachary Lima and Steven Kurasik are, a good 7-8 seconds behind the rest of the field, but at the beginning of the race, I thought these guys started from the pits. There's no way they'll catch up, and I think it was 5 laps in, and they had already caught the rest of the field. So I think these guys, these 4 drivers, they've got such confidence and respect for each other that they feel like the 4 of them can be as fast or faster than the large pack in front of them.
Yeah, the other thing that could happen here is, I mean, they've got a good group of trucks right behind them too. You've got that 10 of Tony Miller. You got Paul Perry right there, Nicholas Lamb. So I mean, they're going to have about 3, 4, looks like 4 trucks that are going to maybe tag onto the back. So it could turn this 8-truck draft into about about a 12-truck draft if it all goes well here. So as you see, they've gotten back together. They're going to use that momentum to kind of put the 95 to the front here. So we'll see. I say once they get settled in here, watch lap times. But with all that happening, though, we'll check to see what. Actually, hold on. We got some pretty big bobbles going around up front at the front there. So they're basically at this point about 11.5 seconds off our leaders. So we'll see now. How fast that gap can close, because our lead pack, I mean, they're not trying to draft as aggressively as the Dale Cup guys are. So obviously that pace is going to slow down a little bit here. And so I think we're going to see them close that gap. But again, I mean, this is 12 seconds they're going to have to make up over the course of, ideally, of course, over the course of this green flag run here.
Yeah, last time by though, the fastest truck on track right now was the 16th place truck. So he's right in the middle of this draft that's going to try to catch up to the main pack. So I think if they can stay organized and they can stay in line, and at least early in the race they showed that they could, they've got a chance to stay in the mix here. And really they don't have to catch up in this pit cycle. They have to catch up in the next 50 laps. So. They've got time. It's an interesting strategy. It's a brave strategy, but if anybody can do it, these guys are the ones.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to see. Right now, watching Robert Rock trying to lead the outside line. I think Robert trying to get a lap lead again. Talked about bonus points being critical. So I think Robert trying to get that 171 truck to the front, see if he can get that bonus point as well. He's got good help here. He's got Todd Siegels right behind him. We've seen Todd be a great pusher over the course of the season as well. And you mentioned Keith Warner kind of being the odd man out on the first run on the outside line. Now he's got some friends to work with finally. I'm sure he's happy to see that. But you can see just a little bit, again, just a little bit of side to side. That's always going to cost you just that little bit of momentum. But what I want to see here, though, is I'm going to start looking at the lap times. But actually, as I say that, though, I think, yeah, Robert's going to get that lap lead, it looked like, at the line. So get that bonus point to that 171 here. And then I wanted to check the lap time. So 51.45 for Gabe Butler, who's now kind of taking back over the lead. And I think that was exactly it there, Brandon. You see, they're now just dropping straight to the back once more. Got that lap lead. They're just cruising back again. But I want to jump back to, it's going to be Steve Karosik leading that second group. And it's 51.45 for the leader, 51.42. 51.42 for Steve Karosik. So not a big gain there, only 0.03 of a second. So again, we'll have to keep an eye as the race unfolds here. But right now, they're not making that big gains like we saw in the opening of the race.
Well, I think what we had there is just as they came across the start-finish line on the last lap, we watched one of the lead truck, go high. I think that was the 55, if I recall. He went high going into that corner to swap places. I think they're trying to test out who they think their best puller is and their best pusher is. So, what I noticed at the previous lap at the end of the back straightaway, Gabe Butler, topped out at about 187, 188 miles an hour, and the second pack topped out at 190. So when they get lined up, the speed is there. I think they're just kind of organizing the chess pieces right now and working the strategy side of it to make sure that the fastest guys are in the order that they need them to be in.
Yeah, so right now it's still holding pretty steady. It's still holding pretty much right around that 12-second mark. And the other thing that's a little bit different this time around is you got the one, and I'm not sure if the one in the 35 were nose to tail last time or not. But all season long, I think I've probably sang probably as many praises of anybody for JD Crow just being a very impressive pusher. And so I think he's been able to help that pace out as well. And the other thing that actually just look right in front of these guys, they're going to be coming up on some lap traffic here soon. That's going to actually propel them a little further here, get that little bit of draft here, kind of pick up their speed as well. I say they're coming up on that 12 of James Hickson there, the 08 of Bob Fitzgerald, and I think that's the 020 it is of Jacob Lamb. So what they're going to have here, though, is these guys have to be very careful and very smart about when and where to make some moves. You can see right away the 12, he goes straight to the apron. Here goes the 08 as well. So say now they just got to hope you up. There goes the 020. Say this was them being a little nicer than they had to be actually there, Brandon. They could have run the third lane if they wanted to, because they weren't running 3x3, so they could have actually run the wall had they chose to. But again, just like I said, the respect that these guys are giving, though, just going straight out of the way. And they know it's playoff time, and I think you never want to be that guy to affect the outcome of a playoff race.
Yeah, what you're seeing here is this isn't the open lobby plate racing. Everybody has got an idea of where they need to be on the track in each scenario. So the trouble is figuring out how the strategy is going to shake out for you. But when these lap cars are coming up, I don't think they want to take the chance of interfering with some of these playoff guys and really these lead cars that are just trying to put in laps to get toward the second half of the race. But yeah, they were a little nicer than I think some other drivers would have been. But I think it just shows the amount of respect these guys have for each other.
Yeah, it's really fun to see that, and it goes a long way too. So right now, say we're hopped on board here out the front of JD Crow, watching the back of that one of Gabe Butler again. We talked about how well they've been working together, but I also want to show us again just how little kind of room you have to see around that truck in front of you when you're pushing in that inside line, because you're kind of like you mentioned, Brandon, on the inside line. Your line of sight is pretty much that yellow line. But when you're right on the back of that truck in front of you, you can't see it, so you're really at the mercy of that truck in front of you to be hitting his marks. Because let's say if you see that truck in front, if he hits the apron, you're probably going to be bouncing right off of it as well. And so that's where that trust of these guys around you really comes into play.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, these guys, especially the second, third, fourth cars in line, you know, they're relying a little bit off of timing and some visual cues as they're driving. But as far as the amount of track they can see, they can't see any of it. So they may be able to see the outside wall and the far inside wall, but you know, if you're right on someone's bumper, all you can see is their spoiler sticking up in the air. So you know, a lot of it's by feel, and if there's a little bit of contact in mid corner, even really straight front to back contact, it'll still move both of those trucks around, and then it can really cause some trouble.
Yeah, right now looking at we talked about the 45 being a pusher earlier. Looks like he's got a new new driver to push, and that's going to be that number 55 of Dean Wilkinson, another playoff contender. And I think we're seeing the same thing we saw earlier. I think Dean's saying, you know what, I need to try to get a lap lead here as well. So we're seeing that 45 trying to help his teammate out here in that 55, try to shove him out to the front and get that bonus point. And again, looking at the intervals, last time by actually it was a big jump from the second group of the Dale Cup guys, Brandon. It was about a full second quicker for Steve Karosek over Gabe Butler. So I think we're starting to see that pace start to pick back up for those Dale Cup guys.
Yeah, they're almost the guys in the front pack are almost a victim of their own success at times. You know, when you've got 8, 10, 12 cars in a pack, especially if they're not teammates, we've got the 49 just got turned in the tri-oval.
Oh yeah, you're right, Steve Karosek. He's around here. And it looks like here's the big thing though. Well, two things. One, no caution, and two, you see what he's doing here. He's being very, very delicate there to make sure he does not cross that pit cone, because I believe that would give you a pit penalty there. Let's go back to see if we can find exactly what happened to Steve here, because you're right though. I mean, that's going to be a huge hurt for Steve unless something happens to bring him back into the mix here. So we're watching the 49 truck right now. He's leading that group of Dale Cup trucks. And, oh yeah, just a little off-center push, I think, from that 95, and he just slides across the grass. But just him involved, so we'll jump back live again to kind of keep an eye. And right now he's sitting pretty much off on his own, unfortunately, in that 49. So yeah, so he's going to be in a tough spot. We'll definitely is going to need the help of a yellow. And also, that little mistake also is going to cost that Dale Cup group some momentum as well on their interval with the leaders. So we'll see what that lap time's looking like. Because we mentioned, yeah, it's back up to about 11.5 seconds, where it was down to about 11, I think almost maybe even 10.5. So they're having to try to regroup and kind of get that momentum rebuilt.
Yeah, they were pushing so aggressively, and honestly, I felt like they had done a great job of staying lined up, and they were there. I think what happened there was just kind of an unfortunate break for them, that the 95 of Zachary Lima had gotten in there and was pushing hard on the 49 of Steven Karosek, and they were lined up great. But then the 23 was just a little closer than he had been in the past, and I think it just packed a little more energy on the bumper of that 95 and spun the 49 right off the front. But they were making great headway, and it's probably going to take a lap or two for them to rebound and rebuild that energy, and hopefully they can have similar success from before. But man, that's a big loss for for the 49, of course, but also for that whole team.
Yeah, and it looks like rebound they have done. Say they're right back on it here, Brandon. Say 51-27 for Sebastian Marin in that second group to 52-16. So basically 9/10 of a second on that last lap. So again, the critical number isn't really going to be your gap to the lead. It's going to be the gap to that last car in this lead draft, which right now is Robert Rock in that 171. And they've gotten it down to about 8.5 seconds off of Robert here. So that's, to me, insane. Actually, that last time by, they were about 1.5 seconds quicker than Robert. So that's really the one we have to look for, because once you get into that certain distance between that car yourself and that truck in front of you, then you pick up that draft, and then we've seen those lap times, they just start to skyrocket. And yet again here, 52.43 for Gabe Butler to a 51.46 for Sebastian Marin this last time around. So yet again, about a full second. So yeah, so they've turned that wick back up, even with that little bit of a hiccup. They're not going to back off. They're going to keep at it.
Yeah, not to throw another curveball or a monkey wrench into this plan, though, but these cars, most of them pitted somewhere around lap 18. At least these guys in the lead pack did. The second pack, they pitted somewhere around lap 20, 22, something like that. So here in the next lap or so, you're going to start seeing these guys jump to pit road again. Not sure that we're going to see the flurry that we had on the first pit stop, but it should be interesting to watch these guys all get back on the pit road and see if they can keep that second pack together and keep making the progress that they're making.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, if they're going to split the seating, like say if they go 18 now, meaning 36 this next time by. So we'll have to keep an eye to see if that's indeed what they do or not. So and then if that's the case, I'll say that put the next one at lap number 54 for their final pit stop, which would be at 21 laps to go roughly. So we'll see. I mean, again, they've got some margin to work with, so this might be one of those things where it's like, okay, hey, we've got maybe 8 or so second gap over those guys behind us. Let's make this our long stints and just kind of stretch this fuel out as far as we can this time. That way our final stop's just that little bit shorter in case we need it to our advantage here. So say that's where all that strategy starts to come into play, where you kind of make those decisions on which run do you want to maybe shorten the most.
Yeah, and I think you're going to start seeing this front pack start dipping to pit road pretty soon. I think that they're trying to keep a similar interval. I don't know if you've noticed this, but everybody's kind of moved down to that bottom line. And in the last pit cycle, that was pretty much the indicator. Within a lap or two, everybody was going to start jumping to pit road. So I think this front pack is going to maintain the pace that they've had, but I'll be interested to see what the second pack does, if they're going to go with the longer run, or if they're going to try to short pit maybe and play a little bit of pit strategy. But we'll see what happens here in the next lap or so.
Yeah, that's a great point. You can see right now Gabe catching up to that 49 of Steve Krosek. Unfortunately, going to knock Steve a lap down here at the moment. So like I said, so now basically job number 1 for Steve here in that 49 truck is, I think at this point he basically has to race this as if he is in this lead pack, even though being 1 lap down, because he needs to stay as that first truck 1 down, because right now, actually right in front of him, you've got Paul Perry. Paul's actually the one that's in that lucky dog spot. So I think really if you're at that 49 truck, you've got to find a way to get around that 53 just in case we get a timely or untimely potentially yellow. But I think that's what the 49's got to do here. He's got to basically drive as if he's the leader, or in this lead pack I should say, and he does exactly that. Or you see he's able to sneak in line just in time there. And actually the 53 pretty off pace here actually. Not sure, maybe he may have run this truck out of fuel.
Yeah, not sure what's happening there. It's almost like when the 49 dropped down, the 53 just ceased to run. But it looks like everybody's coming to pit road now. We've still seen them fan out 4 and 5 wide.
Again, though, really good job. Everybody's fanning out, but I don't see any contact there. So, but the next step is, I'll say that's the first kind of the first hurdle, if you will. The next is you got to make sure you also don't have any contact getting into your pit stall, because it will say once you're in the pit stall, you see the trucks are able to kind of sneak through one another. But before that, it doesn't. You can make contact there. But what we are seeing right now is we had 1 truck. He decided, you know what, I want to go 1 lap longer than these guys, and that's the 20 of Corey Lane. But he's got the benefit here. He's got that 49 truck of Steve Krosek right there pushing him. And again, we know how good those guys are at pushing, so I would suspect we'll see that 20 most likely in this time. And I think he's got to bring that 49 with him, because again, that 49 does not yet. And here they come. They're going to come in together right now. So they're just going to go that 1 extra lap here. You can see that 49 hustling that truck on the pit entry. So you have to make sure not to make contact with that 010. Oh, actually does make a little bit of contact there, trying to scoot to the top, unfortunately. And yeah, that's just unfortunate to say. Everybody's got their different pit entry points and all that, and that's what we just saw right there.
Yeah, I think the 49 may kick himself a little bit. He was probably caught off guard a little bit by that pit cycle, just because of the fact that that wasn't his pit strategy in the first session. So I was looking at the speeds at the end of the back straightaway, and these cars in the pack were running around 188, 189. And those two cars just by themselves were only running 180 at the end of the back straightaway last lap. So chances are he's lost a good bit of headway, and hopefully he can get out of the pits here quickly and catch the tail end of that draft. But man, he's got a tall order in front of him to stay on the lead lap.
Yeah, it looks like he's lost a little bit of time to that 20 that we were talking about a little bit earlier. So as I say, here come the Dale Cup guys, though, the three of them, the 23, the 95, 052, they're coming all in together. So they're coming on lap number 40 to 41. But yeah, Corey Lane, though, he had a really good pit stop. But I'm looking at the right front of that truck here, Brandon, on that 20. He's got a little bit of right front damage that he's nursing. So unfortunately for him, I say he's going to have to hope that he can tag onto the back of this group here. Because, yeah, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble. But do need to mention Steve Krosek. He is on the back of this lead pack here. So that's going to be the next question. Oh, actually, here's a big development right now. I see the 6 of Bud Steele. He's having to head back to pit road here. One of our playoff contenders. I'm guessing that's most likely a pit exit penalty, possibly. Maybe an unsafe pit exit, or possibly also speeding on exit. So, unfortunately, this is going to be a huge heartbreaker for that 6 of Bud Steele.
Man, you hate to see that. He was running a good, clean, smart race, and just one little mistake can take you out of contention. So hopefully this thing will come back to him. But man, that's all it takes is one little slip up.
Yeah, unfortunately, like you said, that's exactly right. And so right now, continuing to lead this race, though, I mean, it's been pretty much the 1 and the 35. They've pretty much set the pace on this race so far. We're kind of jump around, look at some intervals here, and actually, we're going to jump back to those Dale Cup guys, because after this whole pit stop cycle, they are much, much closer now to that lead pack. Looks like they are, Sebastian Marin, about 3.5 seconds off of Corey Lane, and then another about 2 seconds off of Eric Loyer. So basically about 5.5 seconds, off the back of this lead pack here. So like we talked about, they made a great pit stop there. The in and out laps, we know how crucial those are, and they were able to execute those to perfection. So, like I said, they don't have to get all in one big chunk, but they got a really good chunk right there in that entry and exit lap.
Yeah, the good thing is they made great headway, with the pit cycle leading up to the pits. But the problem I think they're going to run into right now is I say that they were under speed a little bit, but I think they were just getting up to speed. I was a little bit worried about a 3-car draft not being able to have that top speed, but these guys are pros, so they seem to still be making headway on the lead pack there.
Yeah, so we'll look at the lap times. Like I said, they're still kind of getting their up-to-speed laps. So we'll say this time will be a pretty accurate depiction, I think, of their lap time. It was a 51.80 for Gabe Butler that last time around. And then for Sebastian Marin, it's going to be a 51.26. So, yeah, half a second quicker. So that gap is shrinking now. It's about 4.5 seconds from them to that 171 of Robert Rock, who's one of the tail end cars of this lead pack here. Right now in the 9th position, right now the last of the lead lap cars in this lead pack. However, we talked about the 49 truck, Steve Krosek. He's in that pack, and he's decided, you know what, I'm going to start pushing my way to the front here too, because you never know if and when a caution can fall, and if you can get the opportunity to get to the front and control this race, and not even have to take the lucky dog, but just be ahead of the leader if and when a caution comes out, all the better. So I could easily see if his teammates can get up to this lead pack, I would easily be not surprised to see that 49 try to hop out in front of them and be that leader to basically kind of put himself as that last truck on the lead lap.
Yeah, he's gotten fortunate there, up until the last lap. That 07 truck of Robert DuPont was actually the first car on the lead lap, but he's fallen back into the pack a little bit. The 49 is being aggressive and doing what he can there. He's not depending on the lucky dog. He's trying to get up there and get back on the lead lap the hard way, and just in case something does happen for him.
Yeah, same thing you can see right there at 37. He's going to jump to the top there and actually wasting no time. He sees the momentum shift. He's going to go straight to the inside line there, and now he's going to peek back out, try maybe to get a little side draft off of Michael Stell. But right now the problem is, though, he's got no help behind him here, so say he's going to try to make this move, but I don't think it's going to work out for him. However, what this could do, as we let's say, I don't think this is part of the strategy though, but let's say if he can slow down the pace of his front group a little bit, again, that's just going to help his teammates just that little bit more. And again, looking at lap times, about 0.2 of a second quicker for Sebastian Marin over Gabe Butler that last time around. But what's I think more crucial though is they're down to about 3.5 seconds, or actually 3.2 seconds off of Todd Siebels in that 45 truck. as right now he's one of the last trucks in this lead pack, because that they've really started to stretch themselves out here. And like I said, I mean, now it's down to 3 seconds already, so this is exactly what they want. If they can keep this group spread out like it is, but then still be able to be in that draft, it's just gonna, again, that's just going to basically grab that toe and just make them so fast here in another couple laps.
Yeah, speaking of that team, I'm watching the 49 of Steven Kurasek, and you mentioned a little side draft, and I'm not seeing a little anything. He's side drafting as hard as he can, but you know, every time he sticks his nose out there, he takes the chance of losing that hole in line, but he also, you know, presents himself as a potential leader for the new line. So, you know, you see that now. The 37 is lashed onto his bumper, and he's making his way back onto the lead lap here. You know, just you know, the hard way, and this
big wiggle.
Yeah, I kind of stuttered through that one just because I was seeing everything happen. But you know, the 49's not waiting around, and man, he's working that side draft as hard as he can to get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, right now he's kind of off on his own. He's got the one truck. He's got the 37 Keith Horner. We've seen Keith. He's definitely been one that's also been pretty dedicated to try to run that top and make something happen. So yeah, so right now that 49 doing everything he can. But the question now is, if you're that one of Gabe Butler, 35 of JD Crow, I mean, how hard do you fight to maybe try to keep him back there? Or are you even worrying about him knowing that he's a lap down, you're just kind of running your own pace? Because of course you always worry about that side draft, but yeah, I just wonder, like, is there any big picture here of saying, okay, you know what, I need to either let's just not fight the 49 too hard, or almost the opposite there, like we need to make sure we keep him that lap down, so even if he gets the lucky dog, he's going to have to restart behind all the trucks here on a potential restart.
Yeah, I think you're kind of conflicted as a driver. You know, you're trying to lead every lap anyway if you're Gabe Butler, and really you're trying to stay in front of any truck and every truck. But you know, even like you said, just that much more important. That's a playoff contender, and that team is so strong. If they get back on the lead lap together, that's going to really hurt Gabe's chances. And looking a little bit closer, it looks like Gabe may even have a little bit of damage right there on his rear bumper.
Yes, I think that won't be too much of a concern for him. I said, we'll take a look, though. We're going to try to look off the front of JD Crew. Yeah, you're right. Pretty much center punch there, if you will. So, yeah, probably either an aggressive bump draft or maybe some pit entry contact. But I say we do see a great view right there of that 49 truck getting just a little nose ahead there entering turn number 3. Not enough, obviously, to clear or anything like that yet. But I say he is making small gains here as they run. And lap times yet again, looking at those, 51.76 for Gabe that last time by 51.08 for Sebastian Marin. And I'm looking at the intervals there, 1.7 seconds off this group of the cars or trucks, I should say, in front of them. I think at this point, Brandon, they've got the toe, they've got the draft that they needed there. So I think now it's just another lap or so until they're going to basically just drag themselves right back into this lead pack. And that's where I'm going to watch to see where that 49 goes once they get here. What do these 3 trucks do as well?
Well, you know, it looks like the 49 has lost a little bit of help in the draft there, but Gabe Butler may not know it, but I think his race just got a lot harder. You know, with those team guys getting together, that's, you know, they're going to mix it up in here. They, you know, if the first session was any indication, they're going to get up here and not hesitate to go 2 or 3 wide, and they're going to be right back up to the front in no time. And it wouldn't surprise me a bit if they can catch the momentum just right for them to put the 49 in the lead. And push him to the lead lap, just you know, regardless of what anybody else wants.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it on the team. Oh, as I said, a little bit of contact at 45. Joe's going to try to hang on to it, I think.
Then we got a wreck on the inside also. The 07 just got turned.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. The 07 as well. The 052, the 95's around. But amazingly, with all this, Brandon, I say it's all happened off track, so the iRacing has not thrown a yellow, which is going to make these trucks, some of these drivers, very upset right here. But we're going to go back. We're going to try to catch a few of those to see what exactly happened there. I saw it kind of kick off there in front there. I'm trying to see who they were. Oh, it was the 45 truck of where did it go? 45 of Todd Siebel's, but he had, I'm trying to see if it was the 020. I think it was the 010 of Dustin Lamb. And I think you see right here the 45 actually moves up in front of the 010 truck, and that pushes them up into Joe Delvecchia and Sebastian Marin. Nothing they can do there at that point. And then at this point, everybody's just trying to hang on to the trucks here. Like you said, then a little further up, there's also another incident. We'll try to see if we can catch a glimpse of that. Yeah, you see right there, it looks like the 07. I think the 49 actually may have got the bump just in the wrong way for the 07 as well. And then those guys just loop it around here. So Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
those team guys, they seem to be the class of the field, but can't catch the brakes tonight. They started from pit lane, worked their way up, got in the lead, and then I believe it was the 49 on the first pit stop. Missed his pit. Then they worked their way through in the 49 and gets turned on the second session. And then right as they come back into the lead pack, some cars around them got a little out of sorts, and it broke up that entire team. So I think that this race was going to get extremely complicated for the guys who had been leading, like Gabe Butler there. But that's got to be a huge sigh of relief for the one car and everybody else that was on the in the first 4 or 5 positions there.
Yeah, really the only one getting through all of that unscathed of the Dale Cup guys is that 23 Sebastian Marin. I talked about this has been pretty much a dream season for him in the regular season, and yet once more, I say he's the only of those trucks to kind of get through unscathed. But so now the thing is, I say he's got great pushing from now his teammate again, the 49 of Steve Krosek. And I think this is where you kind of probably wish they were in the opposite position here, where it was the 49 push, or the 23, I should say, pushing the 49. Let's say if you can get the best of both worlds, if you will, to try to get both of these trucks onto the lead lap, or I should say, get the 49 on the lead lap and then get the 23 in the lead. But right now you see Gabe wasting no time here. He's right on the back bumper of the Keith Horner trying to keep that position up to that 37 truck. Because right now, again, the leaders pretty much all pitted on 38. Sebastian Marin pitted on lap 40, so he should be able to go maybe about 2 laps further. And so as I'm trying to think on the field number where we're at here, Brandon, because it should be pretty soon. We're getting very close to that pit window opening for our final scheduled stop for the race.
Yeah, we're sitting at about 15 or 16 laps into this fuel run, but right now I think the Sebastian Marin and Steven Kurisic just are biding their time as well. They've lost half of their group, so they're not going to be quite as powerful and quite as strong. So at this point, they're going to be content to let that 49 ride in second place. Hopefully the pushing won't be too aggressive for the next foreseeable future, and maybe that 49 can still catch a break with the cautions and grab that lucky dog.
Yeah, right now he is still sitting as that the first truck 1 lap down in the 49. I think the next closest in line, trying to look at their timing and scoring, I think it's actually Dustin Lamb, who is about 14 seconds off. So really, it's only Steve right now in the mix for that lucky dog position. The only time it's going to potentially change is once they start lapping more drivers. Which I'll say right now, I think the furthest of those back is the 20 of Corey Lane as they run. So, but again, right now he is, where's that 20? Actually, going to try to find him.
Coming through the trial.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, about a quarter of a lap ahead of the leaders at this point, basically.
Yeah, basically that pack of potential lapped cars is they are exiting the tri-oval as these other cars, the lead lap cars, are coming into the tri-oval. So they've got a long way to go. I think right now the 49 is going to be content to just kind of ride where he's at. There's no need to push it at this point. It's not like he's gonna get away, but it looks like there may be a little bit of blocking and gamesmanship going on up front. That 37 really wants to stay in the lead.
Yeah, he's doing everything he can to try to hold that position. Obviously, he's been having a great race. You definitely want to try to get everything you can here. And again, talking about the playoff hunt, those drivers in the playoff hunt. Right now, you got Sebastian Marin right now, the first of those. Basically, every lap or so changes between him and Gabe Butler. But then JD Crow's right there as well. Dean Wilkinson's right there. But yeah, man, they are squeezing each other right now through the turns. Oh, as I say that, there's the contact we were worried about. The 37 goes around. They're starting to pretend. Yeah, I think they're starting to wreck behind the leaders as well. Now we're going to get that yellow. As they try and catch who was all involved in that one. And I think it does involve the 49 of Steve Krosek. 37 we see just going back around there, Keith Horner. So that's going to change everything here, Brennan, because I say this is going to be a caution. We're going to be in the window, I think, to make it to the end. But I say the thing is that 49 truck, with him being involved in that incident, that's not going to allow him to get that wave around. So we'll have to see what kind of damage some of these trucks have. The 23 doesn't look too bad of shape. Let's go back. Let's try to catch what happens again. I think it's maybe a little bit of drafting just gone a little bit wrong there. We'll take a look here as they came through. Yeah, you see the one truck, I think, pushed the 37, just got him a little sketchy. And then a little bit of net code, honestly, between the 37 and the 23 as well. And then from there, it's unfortunately, the 49 just in the wrong place at the wrong time. They get connected with one another. And right across the bow of Gabe Butler. Let's see if Gabe... Actually, yeah, Gabe gets a little bit of right rear damage from that as well. as is the 35 of JD Crow. So some of our playoff contenders here getting caught up in this one. This is the risk versus reward now. Do you use that fast repair here, or do you save it? Because a lot of trucks here are going to have a little bit of damage, but is it enough to maybe risk you burning that fast repair right off the bat?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of interesting strategy because all the major players that have kind of commanded this race are damaged. Really, I'm looking at the guys who made out in this accident. Got a little lucky and made some good moves. Or Dean Wilkinson, Robert Rock, and Sebastian Marin. Had a little bit of contact there, but they were able to kind of make a little bit of a lane there, but most of the major players have gotten damage and gotten some contact in this. So it'll be interesting to see how they're able to recover and if they take that fast repair to get back where they need to be.
Yeah, exactly right. And trying to take a look, because you always try to peek a little bit to see what we can find. And I say another thing we can always tell as well is based on pit stop time. And right now, I think that one truck, he went ahead and he used his because that truck looks pretty pristine once more, and it's only about a 10-second stop. So he's going to win the race off of pit road in front of Michael Spell. JD Crow, I think, also had wound up burning his as well. But I think we see strategy here. Sebastian Marin, he's definitely going with a longer pit stop in that 23 truck, trying to get damage repaired manually to his truck. And the other thing we need to mention, I believe the wave around truck went to the 010 of Dustin Lamb. That should put Dustin back onto the lead lap. But we've got some strategy here, though, Brandon. We've got that 49 of Steve Krosek. He's going to stay out here, and he's just basically going to be banking on a yellow here, hopefully before he has to make his final scheduled pit stop. See if he can, because that truck is in pretty rough shape here. So I think he's just going to try to hold on to that draft, but man, I don't even know if that 49 truck's going to have enough pace to hold that draft. It's got some pretty significant damage here.
Yeah, a truck like that on track, you would think you were looking at a Martinsville race right now. That truck doesn't have a straight corner on it, so I think that he's going to be in major trouble unless there's just a caution on the restart itself. So maybe him being the slow truck on the inside lane will cause that caution, but and he'll get a little bit of a wave around there, but. He's going to need some help. He's going to need some significant help. I have a hard time seeing that truck stay on the lead lap and stay connected to the draft.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep an eye on that. A couple other playoff drivers we got to mention. Bud Steele in the 6 truck. He's still unfortunately one lap down as well, including also Joe Delavecchia. We saw him get caught up in that incident, not of his own doing, but he also earlier that didn't bring out the yellow, I should say. So he is also sitting one lap down, 17th and 18th for the two of them respectively. And we mentioned Steve Krosek right now. He's going to take that wave round to try to see if he can get himself back in contention. He's got to take a gamble. I think that's what he's doing right here. Sebastian Marin, we mentioned him. He went ahead and opted to get damage repairs done manually to his truck. He does have some help in front of him with Zachary Limas. We'll see if that comes into play. And like you mentioned, Robert Rock in the 171 truck, he was able to avoid that contact, as was Dean Wilkinson. So those trucks are in pretty good shape here. Also, I think the one fast repair to spare. But then the drivers that had to burn theirs, though, JD Crow in the 35, it looks like he had to use his. Gabe Butler as well in that one truck. So now they got to make sure they need to keep these trucks now clean to the end to avoid any potential troubles here.
Yeah, I'm watching some of these other cars come into pit lane as well and top off fuel. It looks like the 23 is doing the same thing. It looks like he's going to go ahead and take tires also. But, I think what some of these guys that are pitting this time by are doing is they want to pack as much fuel in these things as possible. So, if you've got a gallon or a half gallon extra fuel, from the guy in front of you, that's just extra weight pushing down the spoiler, keeping that spoiler out of the air. And hopefully it's just a millimeter of extra speed. But they want to get any advantage that they can right now.
Yeah, exactly right. And then the other thing, of course, too, is this is a little bit, I wouldn't say on the edge of the fuel window to make it in. We know they're good to the end, but as it is with all the fendered series, I should say, not open wheel series. There are 3 attempts if we get to it of a green white checker finish. So we're scheduled distance 75 laps, but this thing could stretch into the 80s, if you will. Of course, you can save fuel in their yellow, but you never know. If you get a caution coming to the white, and you're just going to be stretching that to the absolute max. So there's a lot of gambles on that one. So I like the strategy here for Sebastian. He was already towards the back anyway with the damage repairs. Might as well try it. Like I said, he's going to have Zachary Lyman not too far in front of him. And then we'll have to, the one I'm going to be watching is Steve Krosek. That truck is definitely damaged, but if he can hold the draft, or let's say he's going to be kind of keeping fingers crossed, maybe you say never want it, but you kind of do hope for a quick yellow, that could put him right back into the mix as well here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting watching the 49 keep up, but really the thing that I'm interested in seeing here is I think Sebastian was possibly trying to eat off a little bit of extra repairs along with taking a little bit of extra fuel there, but it looks like he did not use his fast repair, so I don't know if he used it earlier in the race or if he wants to keep it for a 5-lap run. But here we go, going back green, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so Gabe has control of this restart, but it looks like he's going to wait for the green flag to drop as it does now. And say he's got his helper there, JD Crow, right behind him. We've seen how potent those two have been together. Say the only truck really missing from that group has been the 071 of Eric Laurie, so we'll see if Eric can find a way to sneak in here as well right now behind Michael Spell. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I think that's exactly right though for the 23. I think he's saving that fast repair because it's going to start getting even more aggressive now. Everybody's good to go on the field numbers. I think the aggression is just going to ramp up all that more. So the bump drafts are going to get more aggressive. The side drafts things are going to get more aggressive. We're going to see more 3-wide action. So I think saving that fast repair just in case, got to keep that in your back pocket.
Yeah, these team guys are all back together now, and they are aggressive. So we'll see what happens here the next few laps. But they're wasting no time going back 3-wide.
Yeah, looks like Zachary Lyman the first. Yeah, he's going to pick up Joe Delavecchia. And this is important because right now, again, Joe Delavecchia, he was trapped a lap down. You see that 6 of Bud Steele. That was the competition for that lucky dog position. So if that 95 can push that 052 in front of the 6 truck, that would be the lucky dog position if a caution does come out. Again, as long as he's not involved in it, that's exactly unfortunate. We saw what happened to that 49. Actually, as I say, that 49 hits pit road, so it looks like that plan did not work out for him. He's had to hit pit road. But right now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that 052 Joe Delavecchia, he's sitting as that driver in that lucky dog position here, getting great help here from that 95.
Yeah, he's in the lucky dog position, but he's not wasting any time and waiting on that. So if there is a caution, and as these guys race, it's starting to look more and more likely. He's doing his best, and these guys are such good drafters that he could be leading this pack in no time.
Yeah, exactly right. And same because right now you've only got 2 trucks in the middle of the 88 and the 071. So right now things are definitely looking good on that outside line. You're going to still see that momentum shift. So, and that's going to be the next question. It's like here, Joe, here. If and when you clear that 88 truck, do you jump into the middle as soon as you can, or do you try to hope that you can get enough momentum, enough energy to allow that 95 to clear too, and then push both of you to the middle? I'd say it's just that risk versus reward. Of course, you want to try to get your teammate behind you if you can, but right now, say it's still the 88 holding pretty steady, and actually, I'll say here comes that 23. Even with that damaged rear spoiler of Sebastian Marin, he's right there as well.
Yeah, I think if I'm on the outside line and I'm the 052, I stick with the guys that got me there. The 95 and the 37 have both shown that they can push these cars, all the way to the front. So and they've done some leading themselves. So I feel like the draw is so strong to drop down in front of the car below you, but. Man, your all your help and all the guys that push you there and have been the best pushers all race are all right there behind you right now. So you got to try to stick it out. The 23 is right there in the middle line also.
Yeah, I'd say that truck obviously able to hold on to the drafts. Just say, like you mentioned, Steve Krosek did not work out for him. However, it's not over yet for Steve because he's back out on track. He's got BK Anderson working with him. And I say he used his fast repair here, so now basically he's just pushing that 32 truck for all he's worth here to try to stay on the lead lap, because right now he is on the tail end of the lead lap still, and that could be again one more thing to throw a wrench into this mix here, because again these guys running 3x3, there's been a lot of courtesy, a lot of niceness there, letting the leaders fight for it here. Well, I mean, when you get to the closing laps here, when you're down to 13 to go here at the line. I mean, if you're Steve, you're going to want to stay that truck, either the last truck on the lead lap or be that first truck a lap down. Do need to mention that he did get to the middle there, so he's able to get in front of Michael Spell now. But yeah, I think if they get to you, I think you've got to pretty much try to hold that position if you can.
Yeah, I think there are 2 universal truths in the world. If you wash your car, it's going to rain. And if you say a driver's not going to do something, that's the first thing he's going to do. So, yeah, the 052 made the move, and he made it aggressively to get down to that second line. And he's doing all he can to get in front of Gabe Butler on the inside line as well. But, these guys are getting tighter and tighter. 5-6 laps ago, we had 2 and 3 wide, or we had 3 wide, 2 and 3 deep. Now we're sitting 5, 6, 7 rows deep, all 3 wide, and these guys are all doing all they can just to be in the right position over the next, last 10 to 15 laps.
Yeah, it's exactly right. So say now 12 to go here in this one. And it's saying it's that kind of that balance. I mean, you can lock push. I mean, if you could lock bumpers with these trucks all the way around, these guys would, but obviously oil water tends to allow it. So you got to let it breathe a little bit here. And of course, it's a little risky to push in the turns as well. I mean, we've seen how wiggly they get in the straightaways. Let's say it's just that much more dangerous in the turns as well. But right now, I'm honestly pretty impressed with the combo of BK Anderson and Steve Krosek. They've been making some the two of them. As you see, they're starting to work their way towards the top here. I think trying to let those leaders have the opportunity. I think that's what we're seeing as well from that 95 truck. He knows they're coming up on him 3x3. I think that 95 is starting to roll out of it, knowing that you can make 4 wide work. It's a little bit of a stretch here, but I think they're trying to kind of do, what do you call it, patience the better part of valor, if you will, to try to play it safe here.
Yeah, what's an interesting thought. Before you brought it up, I saw 2 lap cars coming up and the field having a rolling roadblock, but I didn't think about the fact that, the 49 car coming back into that mix is just an extra teammate for these guys. So, and we watched the 052 run to the high side there to pick up the 49. So, man, there's so many moving parts right now, and this race is really amping up and getting more interesting by the second.
Yeah, it really is. And it's interesting, like you said, the selflessness right there of that 052 to try to do what he's doing, because this is actually putting him in a little bit of a dangerous spot, because now Bud Steele in that 6 truck, he's not there yet, but he's getting awful close to actually being able to get around him for that lucky dog position. But actually, you know what? I'm skipping the truck here, because actually Paul Perry in the 53 truck and that Ally truck, as they sit right now, he's now the first truck 1 lap down. So, I mean, that's, again, he gave up his lucky dog position to try to help his teammates, which is just, to me, I mean, honestly, pretty unheard of, especially when you're trying to fight for that lucky dog, and you can see how much movement there's going on around these guys. So, actually, as I said, we got one spinning off into the apron. I think to Michael Spell.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. He had worked his way up there the whole day, but going back to what you were saying with the 052 dropping back and picking up his teammates, you could look at that as a sacrifice, but in a way, it's one of those things that it's they've been the power team the entire race. Why not keep the crew together? Why not use those guys to have more power as the race goes on? And when the race is in the final 8 laps now. Those are the guys that I want around me, because they've shown that, even without the other 15 cars on track, they're faster than everyone. So everyone else is probably a little bit more nervous seeing these 3 cars on the outside line right now. And I wouldn't be surprised to see the 23 try to get in that mix at some point too.
Yeah, so at this point, I'm pretty much, as I say that, I say the 23 is trying to push the one-way ad. I say the push in and shove in is getting very antsy right now. You see everybody's trying to jockey for position. 23 is trying to push the 101. The 101, it kind of got him a little off center, shoves him down to the apron, he saves it. But I say that's pretty much put the 23 now with his team. Well, actually, no, he's lost momentum with all that. But look at up front now. Look at what's going on here. You've got the 49 Steve Krosek. He's actually now leading this pack here again. He's right now the last truck, I should say, on the lead lap, right on the tail end. He's got also the 052 is right between the tail end or the first truck 1 lap down. And then you got their teammate Zachary Lime now leading the here again. Here comes the outside line. Look at the 2 again. Once again together. Gabe Butler, 35 JD Crew. They burn their fast repair. They got to be very careful here. But they want to keep this track position for all they're worth.
Guile, I don't know about you, man, but I'm sitting here and I feel like I'm actually in the middle of this race as I see these cars swapping positions and wobbling all over the track. I'm watching these guys go 3 wide and work this tandem draft and work as a team to make this happen. But my heart is beating 1,000 miles a minute.
I am very tense right now. These guys are going at it. We talked about if anybody was going to kind of take it easy on the first playoff race, and I think at this point all bets are off. I say gloves are off. I think they're just going full at it. Because it was like 2 laps ago. I was about to mention Randy Meyer. Where did he come from, getting back up into the lead? And then just unfortunate that bump got wrong, shuts it out of the run there as well. So yeah, right now and now Joe Delavecchia is now in that position to be on the tail end of the lead lap in that 052. So this is very intriguing right now, because you got Keith Horner trying to push him, But that middle line, if they can get that push, I mean, right now they could get 2 of their trucks back on the lead lap again if the yellow comes out. They have 2 of their trucks in perfect contention for it.
Well, they do. They've got trucks in contention, but let's throw another curveball into all this. If that 052 is still leading that bottom line when they come down to the white flag, is he gonna lift? Is he gonna try to back that 37 up for his teammate? What are we gonna see from a strategy standpoint with the teammates?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, you're going to see that third. Oh, as I said, there's a big move by Steve Krosek right in front of Joe Della Vecchia there. I think that was probably 95 of Zachary Lyman saying, "Hey, man, I'm getting hot. You're going to have to do something." But here goes Gabe Butler. He's going to put the 95 in the middle there. But as soon as he does that, teamwork. You see that the 49 car truck, he jumps right back up, picks up his teammate. Does not want to let him be stuck out by himself. But here comes that 1 and the 35. Great push. They're going to both themselves into the middle.
Yeah, Gabe just came out of nowhere. I honestly I hadn't written him off. I'd just forgotten about him, even though he's been in the lead most of the race. But he just, power move around the outside and put these Dale team guys, behind him. So trying to take the race into his own hands and make it his own and take these other teammates out of the question altogether. And we're coming to 5-4 to go.
Yeah, somehow already 5 to go here. And one driver, I say, just kind of caught in the corner of my eye here. You got that right on the nose of that truck, the 5 truck, Nicholas Lamb. I haven't really talked about him all night, but right in the thick of it as well here, right behind that 37 of Keith Horner. But like you mentioned, behind the 052, Joe Della Vecchia. As soon as I say that, you see, I think a push gone wrong, and then a second push gone wrong. And we got trucks going all over. Oh, Eric Laurie now going off sideways here. Somehow hung onto it. Going to hustle that truck back out on track, but not sure if he's going to hold on to the draft. This is getting wild.
Yeah, that's a heartbreaker for the 37 of Keith Horner Jr. I don't think anybody has worked as hard as he has to get in position and then constantly have to, get there again over and over and over again. And just one bump gone wrong, and he is slow on the front straightaway coming through the trial void in the 150, 160 range. While the rest of the field's pulling away at 185, 190, so it's still crazy up front. And with 4 or 5 laps to go, we still have no idea who is going to be, even in the top 5 into this.
Yeah, I mean, right now, honestly, Eric Laurie, Keith Horner, they could be in the best positions because as aggressive as things have been right now, I mean, they're all packed up together. If there's contact, I mean, they could end up taking out the whole field. We've had incidents before where it's literally taken all but like 1 or 2 trucks out. So, I'd say I wouldn't count that out yet. But right now, the battle for the lead right now for the win, it's between the 1 and the 95, Gabe Butler, Zachary Lima. However, in the bigger playoff picture, again, unfortunately, Zachary not able to get into the playoffs, so they missed it just by a couple of points. So Gabe, of course, I'm sure he's thinking max points. Dean Wilkinson still right there as well. Robert Rock still in the mix as well. It's a nice, and like you mentioned too, you can never count Sebastian Marin. He's all season long, and we saw him get up there earlier, just got shuffled out a little bit. I'll be keeping an eye on that 23 because right now we're at 3 to go. The question is though, can we go another lap and a half to get that white flag? Because if we get there, at that point, all bets will be off for who's going to get to that flag first.
Right now, Gabe Butler's thinking, let's win this race. Let's get these points. 35 and the 1 have been really, really tough together tonight. But now we've still got the 95 and the 49, and they've been equally as tough. So, every point that Zachary Lima can take away from Gabe Butler is another point closer that one of his teammates can be in that championship mix.
I'm looking at the family of lambs, if you will, working that third line now. You can see the bright yellow banners they've got to make them nice and easy to identify. It's actually now the 10 of Chummy Miller now leading that outside line with Nicholas Lamb behind him. And they said they got a couple friends trying to join the party here as well. So I'm not going to count out that outside line here as well because the inside middle, you can see they're side drafting each other, squeezing each other. That's just going to give that outside line even more momentum. That contact. That's going to bring up the yellow here. 2 to go. We've got, looks like 4 trucks going to get through this unscathed. We'll see who else is involved. The caution's going to be out, and like we talked about, green-white checker territory, this is going to be a 10-1.
Well, and I'm not sure about the lucky dog rules in this league, but I see the 49 was the first car a lap down there. Is he going to get put back on the lead lap?
As long as he wasn't involved, I think he'll get the waiver and get back on the lead lap. So we'll say, let's go back. Let's try to see what exactly happened here. I think it was like we talked about, just that big pushing gone wrong here. So we'll back it up just a little extra here. And yeah, I can already see it when I was reversing it there. Nicholas Lamb trying to push his teammate there in that number in the number 10 truck, I believe it was. You're gonna see us trying to get a better angle of it here, but you can see it's just a little off center to the right, and then it just shoves his teammate over. And then unfortunately, Dean Wilkinson, just nowhere for him to go. BK Anderson gets caught up in it as well. But yeah, I think the 49, he looks like he gets through unscathed here. However, Sebastian Marin, we talked about him saving that fast repair. That's going to come into play here because he's going to be in a good spot now as well. Looks like Bud Steele gets a little piece of it as well. Was trying to get his lap back as well. So yeah, we do have a few trucks to get through. I'm going to go back though. I want to watch Todd Siebels here, Brandon, because I think he may have been making the big moves here. Because I think he did the top to bottom here. We're gonna hop on board and we're gonna go full speed because this is wild for 45. Yeah, say we don't have a good hands award, but if we did, I'd put it right there with that 45 of Todd Siebels. I don't know how he got through that unscathed, but he does. So hats off to Todd. He's gonna live to fight another day in that number 45 truck. We're going to jump back live, though, to see kind of what the strategies are up front. Looks like pretty much staying out is going to be the name of the game for the 1 and the 95, the 35, and the 45. However, Robert Rock and Nicholas Lamb, they've hit pit road along with Dean Wilkinson. Damage repairs, I think, for a lot of these trucks here. But yeah, looking for where is that 49 truck?
You know, and you hit on this just a
goes.
few laps. You hit on this just a few laps ago. The 37, you know, blessing in disguise. Keith Horner Jr. getting caught up in a little bit of a bump going wrong a few laps ago, and he's set 4 or 5, seconds off the pace. And then all hell breaks loose here on the back straightaway, and he's nowhere near it. So he may have the cleanest truck on track, and he may have the most experience at coming back through the field.
Yeah, he and Eric Laurie both getting through that unscathed, like I said, far enough back to basically just back it down and say, all right, you guys finish wrecking, we'll pick our way through there. So you're right. I mean, saying they also stayed out here under this caution, so they feel like they're good to go on fuel. Those that pit under yellow, say, of course, either maybe getting some damage repairs done or maybe just getting that little extra fuel just to play it safe. Playoff contenders include Robert Rock right there, Dean Wilkinson, Sebastian Marin. I say we talked about him too, saving that fast repair. That's exactly what he had to do there, because if not, his race would probably be over as well. So a great call by him to do the same thing there in that number 23. And like you talked about, Steve Krosek back on the lead lap, fought hard for all he was worth. He's back in the mix here. And even being the last car, or even getting a lucky dog here, he's going to be, in looks like, in 13th position after all of this.
Yeah, you know, he's going to need a little bit of a good break, and so are the rest of his teammates. What this has done is it's split up the whole team. You know, the 95's best bet there, you know, coming to that last lap was, you know, the 49 staying on his back bumper. So really, those guys are split up now. So what I think the rest of the team and Steven Kurasek there in the 49 is going to really need to hope for is another caution. You know, coming from 13th with 2 laps to go is a pretty big ask. But hey, you know what? Crazier things have happened.
Yeah, that they have. And then I say the other problem for Steve is the fact that he's going to be, when you're the lucky dog, so you have to go behind all the lap down cars, or trucks, I should say, at this point as well. So, but right now, though, looks like we still have a couple hanging out in the pits here. It looks like Joe Delavecchia, Dustin Lamb, Corey Lane. And I haven't seen any of them roll out yet, so he might not be in as bad shape as I thought he could be, with a couple of these drivers here topping off as well. So, yeah, he's just going to need to get a good restart, kind of get that momentum built up early, and then just basically take the momentum where it's going to kind of get him further up. I'm trying to see if he has any hope to catch some of his teammates, because like you said, they're all kind of split up here. You've got Zachary Lima in 2nd. You've got Sebastian Marin in, looks like, 8th position, and then Steve will be in 13th. So, like I said, there's going to be a couple rows in between all of them, but we'll see. I mean, I'm not counting the fuel mileage out here either, because, I mean, you look at Gabe Butler, he's just running the apron here. I said, we'll hop on board, we'll listen along. I think that truck's going to be pretty much dead silent. Yep, there it goes, turns it off here. He is saving every drop of fuel he can in that one truck, I think, probably to make sure that in case we get another green white checker, he's good to go. But, I mean, you never know. You don't know how close he could be here.
Yeah, you really don't. I think that he's probably to the good, but I think he's he probably wants to play it a little bit safe as well. So I don't expect this to be a very polite restart, and the next two laps are probably not going to be free of contact. So we'll see what happens, but we could very easily go to extra overtime.
Yeah, of course, like I said, 3 attempts at it if we need it. So say this is going to be attempt number 1. If they get to the white flag before a caution flies, at that point they race it out to the checkered. However, if a caution flies before that, they'll rack them up and try it again. And of course, I say if they get to that 3rd attempt at that point, if a caution falls on that attempt number 3, it'll end under yellow where they were at the time of that caution. So I haven't had it happen very frequently. Actually, I'm not sure the last time we've seen it happen. So hopefully it doesn't happen tonight. But now the question is, do you play any gamesmanship here, Brandon? Do you maybe, again, you're Gabe Butler, you've got the 35 right behind you. They've been just rock solid all night long. Do you maybe think about jumping a little early, try to build a bit of a gap, trying to kind of catch some of these guys off guard where they have to reestablish kind of drafting, if you will? Or does that just allow them too much momentum to try to chase you back down on that final lap and a half?
I think that really depends on the communication between the 1 and the 35. If they've been so solid all night, but this is one of those tracks where you can get too far out, even in a 1 or 2 lap sprint. So we'll see what they do here. But the 35 looks like he's already ready to start pushing. That's for sure.
Yeah, so there they go. They're going to go a little early, and they look right away. They're able to clear that 95 truck. So that was what we thought might happen. And look at the spread that's done to the field here. So that's going to let them sneak away just a little bit. But again, we talked about plate racing. You never want to get too big of a lead. But now the next question, of course, is does Zachary have any friends behind him? Can he trust Randy Minor to do anything with him? Eric Loring fifth. He's going to stay with his teammate in that number 1 truck. So that 071, he's not going to go anywhere. But here comes that momentum right away. Even without a draft, that 95 getting right to the door of that number 35.
Yeah, and he's going to lose that help right away. If this had stayed, even through the start of that session, I think what you would have seen is everybody jump to 2 and 3 wide pretty quickly. But what this is going to do is create an accordion effect where you're going to have people, coming from the back and having these huge runs. The other thing it might do, and it may not matter, there may not be enough time, but it might put some of these teammates back together. I noticed the 23 on the back bumper of the 95.
Yeah, and we do get to the white flag, so this is our final lap of the race. Right now, it's pretty much going to be a shootout between Gabe Butler, Zachary, and Lando. But does Sebastian Marin, does he try to do anything again? We talked about the points for championship. Right now, again, the 95 not in the running. So does he just stick with his teammate in the 95, or does he try to make a move as they side draft each other here, going down the back for the final time? Oh, contact in the back.
So if the caution comes out, the race is over. But
we got the white. So we got the white. So this is going to be racing out to the finish. And let's say with that too, it's actually that outside line that's really killed their momentum. Eric Laurie. Oh, contact with the 95 now. Those two go around. Now it's going to be. We'll see if can the 35 get a big run on the 1 truck, or is he pretty much going to be committed to the back of that 1 truck? And it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. Gabe Butler going to get the win. JD Crow second. Sebastian Marin somehow finds his way back to 3rd. Robert Rock in the 4th position, and looks like Randy Minor going to grab a top 5 here tonight in that 101.
Yeah, that was kind of a best case scenario, I think, for the 23. Because if he leaves his teammate there, then he just doesn't have any help, and these other guys do. But when his teammate had the contact there coming down out of turn 4. I'll have to go back and watch that. It almost looked intentional. It was such a sudden turn. But with that contact, what it did is it put the 23. In that extra position and gave him a few extra points in the championship that he might not have had coming out.
Yeah, so we're going to look first at this contact down the back to see what exactly happened. If we can get an angle on it, I should say. Let me go back. Actually, we're going to go back to the helicopter view. Yeah, let's go back a little further here. Again, just a push gone wrong, unfortunately. I think I'm watching the 55 and the 5 and the 171 here. And you can see the 5 just a little bit off center there. You can see him too far to the left, and then that's what's going to hook the 1 truck around. And unfortunately, Steve Krosick was right in the thick of that one, Brandon, and then gets caught up in it, unfortunately. So he gets a pretty good shot as well with that contact. And you see the 55 getting stuck up against the wall as well. So basically, from bad to worse for Dean Wilkinson, unfortunately. But then we get a jump up front, though, like you said, because then it got a little dicey further up here, because I say that killed the momentum on the outside line. But as they like I said, coming out of 4 here, we see the 071 and the 95 trying to see if they can kind of jockey for a position. We'll kind of watch here to see. So I have seen a little bit of net code tonight. We'll see if we see that once more here as they come out of 4.
Yeah, it looked like the 071 actually moved up a little bit. And in live timing in the angle that I was watching at the time, it actually looked like the 95 moved down. But really, I think in that situation, the 071 moved up just a little bit, and not just a racing incident, a net code incident. No one really at fault.
And I was looking. I'll say the other thing too is I was watching the 071. He was pretty much following the spoiler, if you will, of Gabe Butler, and also of JD Crow, just trying to stay lined up with them. And say the problem was the 1 and the 35. They were clear of that second row or that second group on the outside line, whereas the 071 just wasn't quite clear enough. And so that's the thing is you. At least for me, I mean, I'm just so dead centered on that truck in front of me. So wherever he goes, I usually go, and I have to remind myself that, hey, you can't do that because you've got somebody next to you. So unfortunately, I say that's I think what we saw there. But I mean, what a wild one though tonight. Like I said, just some of these drivers. I mean, that being said though, some of these drivers great recoveries. And I say before we get to our interviews, let's actually pull up those results here. So it's going to be Gabe Butler getting that win with JD Crow in second position. Sebastian Marin somehow finds his way, use that late fast where he jumps all the way back up into third. Robert Rock, a great points night for him as well in fourth. Again, one of our playoff contenders. Randy Miner fifth. Eric Laurie, Nicholas Lamb, Todd Steebles. Steve Krosek finds his way all the way back up into ninth after being trapped a lap down or in the tail end for a good chunk of that one as well. You got Keith Horner there, Chummy Miller, Zachary Lima, unfortunately, just didn't end well for him. Dean Wilkinson, we saw him got caught up in that white flag incident as well down the back stretch in 13th. Paul Perry 14th, Bud Steele in 15th. And you see Michael Spell, James Hickson, BK Anderson 17th and 18th. We'll jump here and get the remainder of our finishers here. Then you got Bob Fitzgerald, Joe Delavecchia. Unfortunately, I think he got pretty much the worst of it of everybody, finishing in 20th of those playoff contenders. Then you got Jeff Lamb, Dustin Lamb, Corey Lane, Robert DuPont, Jacob Lamb, and Michael Taylor rounding out our 26 trucks for this evening.
Yeah, it was a tale of 1,000 stories tonight. You know, you watch some guys that look like the class of the field that just couldn't catch a break. You had other guys who looked like they didn't have a shot at anything, and they were there at the end. So, and then you had guys like Gabe Butler who were just steady. The entire night they were right where they needed to be. Every now and again in racing you catch a few breaks, and Gabe was in the right place at the right time that entire race. So he ran an incredible race there. He deserved that win. But man, there were so many different storylines going there at any given time during that race. That was insane for sure.
Yeah, exactly. It indeed was insane. We're going to kick things off with our third place finisher here tonight, and saying wasn't for lack of craziness tonight, Sebastian. Say got yet another pole added to your tally here through the season, and somehow you find your way to get back all the way back up into third. I mean, we commented you saved that fast repair just in case, and you played it perfectly there because you definitely needed there on that last restart at the end, unfortunately. But I mean, just the highs and the lows, I feel like tonight were probably more than any of the season. I feel like probably this time around where we saw you and your teammates. You start from the pits, 5 laps it takes you guys to get right back up into the lead pack there, and then unfortunately a bit of a pit mistake for one of your teammates, but you guys all go back to try to pick him up and try to do the same thing once more. It definitely didn't go quite as planned. To say we saw unfortunately a little bit, just weren't able to gain as much there. But then that second pit stop, you guys gained a huge chunk, and then you're right back in the mix there. And then of course then it's all kind of kicking off there at the end. Before that last caution flag. I mean, just take us through just everything if you can. I'd say there's a lot to go through there throughout the course of that race, because you had a little bit of everything here tonight.
Yeah, that race was I guess a little scruffy compared to throughout the season. It started out well, but just too many mistakes, I think, from just all of us. Pit road mistakes, or for example, Steve, he ended up getting turned as well during that green flag cycle, and then he lost a lap. And then, going to the end, it was like 20 to go, coming to green. I'm like, man, I really don't want to use this last fast because I know it's the trucks. It's 20 to go. I feel like there's going to be one more wreck. So I knew I wasn't going to be competing for the win if it went green, and I was getting a little nervous because we got to like 2 to go, but no, luckily we got that yellow, and I guess the door just opened to get to my teammate Zach there, but the wreck that happened down the backstretch kind of hurt us a little bit because we lost a lot of trucks, and it was mainly me and Zach on the top, so it was going to be hard to pass him, and then the accident off of 4 kind of solidified that I was going to get third, but overall still a good day. But gotta go and beat Gabe and JD though.
Yeah, I say those two are definitely pretty much locked onto one another throughout the course of the night. It looked like tonight, so yeah, it looks like they'll definitely be two to keep an eye on. And you're right though, like I said, that contact down the back, and saying it couldn't probably honestly have happened at a worse time because we went back and looked at the replay. I mean, Steve was heading there with a huge head of steam. He was going to definitely try to tag on to the party there and try to make some more challenges for those guys on the inside line, but say unfortunately just got caught up in there at the wrong place at the wrong time. And I think that was just, like you said, kind of the nature of Steve's race tonight, unfortunately. But like you said, though, I mean, a little bit of everything tonight, but still able to bounce back. I mean, still find your way to finish third. I say for everything you guys had to go through, and especially for you as well, to, like I said, use a strategy, save that fast repair. It definitely worked out perfectly there as well. So, I mean, to grab a third place to open up the playoffs, definitely, there could be worse results for sure on that one. So, yeah, way to stick it out, man. And definitely, though, want to give you the floor. Any thanks and shouts I'd like to give for that third place tonight.
I want to give a shout out to my teammates, of course, Zach and Steve, for being such great teammates. You guys for putting this great broadcast, and TW/Air51 for putting on this great league. It's always a blast racing here.
I will say congrats on the survival. I'll say next week a little narrower at Daytona, saying before we get back to the last two at Dega for those final races. Well, actually, I should say next week. No, hopefully you'll be either at home or at families enjoying Thanksgiving. But after that, we'll get back to racing. So yeah, say enjoy this one. Try to relax a little bit before we get back into the thick of it in 2 weeks' time.
Absolutely, man. Thanks, guys.
All right, now we got to jump over and grab our second place finisher so you can see actually I say this is actually a pretty accurate depiction here. So you got that 35 truck of JD Crow just completely attached to the back of that one truck of Gabe Butler. And so was this something that JD, that you and Gabe had maybe talked about pre-race, that you guys were going to try to work together, or is it just kind of it wound up working out that way? Because I say when we switched over to you, we saw you kind of pushing the one to the start finish line there. I mean, that's pretty much, I feel like, what you saw most of the night tonight, I say. So hopefully you're a fan of Guinness, because, I mean, that's probably what you're going to be dreaming of this evening.
Well, yeah, Gabe and I run together quite a bit. And, well, first of all, hey, guys, it's nice to finally get to talk to you in one of these events. So glad to be here. Gabe and I, we worked well together. We work in a lot of different leagues together as well. So we just he invited me down to his room tonight because we normally try to run with each other, running same strategy. And there in the middle of the race, I'd planned to just stay with him, try to get him the most points he could, lead the most laps. And then at the end, it was, us against them. So I know how strong that the Dale Cup boys are. So I told Gabe, just wherever you go, I'm going to be right behind you, and we'll finish it out where it goes.
No, I was saying, I mean, that's exactly what you guys were able to do. And I mean, that's the thing, was you two, when you were together, I mean, you guys were extremely potent. We're watching the lap times, and once you guys really got hooked up and you were able to kind of run your race, the lap times were really solid, because we saw a couple times some trucks a bit back off the draft that then try to kind of chase you guys back down. And when you guys got hooked up, it took a long time for anybody to start making gains on the both of you. So I mean, like you said, it's obvious you guys work extremely well together. But I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot though a little bit, because you're talking about trying to give Gabe max points, but I mean, you're in this championship hunt too. So I mean, you can't be too nice to that one truck. Let him get too far out in front, because so you want to try to keep yourself in contention as well to see if you can get that top spot in 3 more races.
Well, we'll let it play out. I've learned a lot from Gabe and some of the other guys that I run with. So we'll see how the deck folds out. Tonight was his night, and we'll work to get him a championship. And if I get him there, I'll be close enough. And then you never know what happens at the end. So like I said,
Yeah.
I've learned a lot from him. So to push him to a championship for the rest of these races, wouldn't be a bad deal.
Yeah, JD, I'm going to chime in here as well. We watched you guys together the whole race, and it seemed like every other lap we were talking about Gabe and JD, and it was you guys and the Dale Cup guys. As the race progressed, was there ever a conscious decision or a conversation about, let's get to the win, and maybe he owes you one next week?
Not really. I just told him, just go where you need to go. I'll be with you. And that one time, I think it was, I can't remember who was, Michael. I think Michael got down below him, and I told Gabe, I said, if we can get you clear and you need to go to the top, just go, do what you need to do. And unfortunately, I guess these trucks were really started to get to be a handful through the tri-oval. As the fuel load got burnt down, they seemed to get really dancy through the tri-oval. And so I just told Gabe, you do what you need to do. I know I'm not sure exactly what happened. It got Michael turned out off his nose, but when you get the end, we were just letting it play out, and I wasn't going to steal one from Gabe after helping him all night.
So we've talked about teamwork and the selflessness, and I mean, you guys are saying that that's exactly what we've been seeing us say with you guys, obviously here tonight, the Dale Cup guys. I mean, that's just. It seems like that's going to be the recipe for success, because you guys have been doing such a good job of that week in and week out. So yeah, just an awesome run tonight, JD. Like I said to me, you and Gabe were definitely two of the drivers pretty much controlling the most of this race here tonight. So just hats off on that one, man. But before we let you go, definitely want to give you the floor for thanks and shouts that I could give for that second place run this evening.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it. This super speedway, you can't do it without help, and so it was great to be able to run with Gabe and Eric and Michael and Bud tonight. So, super speedway and plate racing is a team sport, and you got to have a good team, and you got to make the pit stops count, which we did tonight. So I'd like to thank them for the teamwork and the coaching they give me and the help they give me when it's my turn to be out front. And also got to give a shout out to my guys down at Groveland, Florida, jconcepts.net, for letting me carry their colors on the truck. So if you need any RC car parts or T-shirts or accessories, be sure to check them out for your monster trucks and off-road cars and on-road and drag cars. They'll get you the right stuff to get in the winner's circle as well. And of course, you guys for broadcasting and the guys for putting these races on for us to come out and have a good time for a few hours.
Yeah, I say awesome job tonight. And I'm going to have to be careful, because I say if I check that website out, I'll get sucked right back into the RC stuff. I got to play with it for a while years ago. I got out of it, but I have a bad feeling you're going to find a way to sucker me back in there. So I'll definitely have to check them out myself. But yeah,
well, we'll get you a T-shirt. I
just spent $100 while you guys were talking.
There we go. There we go. All right, they'll appreciate it, and maybe they'll jump in here, and we'll get to fly their colors as a sponsor of a race one night.
That sounds like, I think that's a good plan. We'll get our people together with their people. We'll make something happen. But yeah, just awesome job tonight, JD. Well run the race, like you said. You and Gabe working the teamwork to perfection there, getting that 1-2 finish for you guys.
Thank you, guys.
All right, so with that, Brandon, that leaves us one person left to talk to, and that's gonna be our race winner in that number 1 truck. Not at all. We're definitely not used to, or I should say we're not used to not interviewing him. I'm gonna pull a full double negative on this one here. That's gonna be that 1 truck of Gabe Butler, and so I'm gonna start things off. Actually, Gabe, let's say I hadn't asked the other guys, but we saw the Dale Cup guys. They kind of pulled a boot knocker move there, where they all started from the pits there. So I'm sure that's something that caught your attention, because that got you the front row starting position, but. I don't know. Did you feel like that was kind of a unexpected gift that worked out pretty nicely for you, the way the race played out?
Yeah, those guys normally run and try to stay up front, and I was kind of surprised that they're starting in the pits. And I mean, maybe it was in their thought process that it was probably going to be a little bit more aggressive, and they wanted to avoid the potential carnage, which really didn't happen until I turned Keith on lap 55, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you're exactly right. I said there wasn't a lot of craziness throughout the course of the race. I mean, it was pretty straightforward. And we saw obviously pit stops played a big part in that one. To say because you guys were able to hold a lead after the pit stop cycles were through, and then we saw the Dale Cup guys they wound up dropping back to try to pick up a teammate and kind of reestablish stuff. But then yeah, like you mentioned, they stayed green for a good chunk of the race. I mean, only the two cautions, especially the one pretty much just about getting to the white flag before the caution came out there. I mean, and say we've seen from week in and week out these trucks just so difficult to push, and it seemed like tonight was even more so, where we saw trucks trying to push down the backstretch, and just that lead truck would just basically just almost get as if it like lifted the rears off the ground and kind of just moved them down to the inside. I mean, what was it that was kind of giving these trucks so much more difficulty tonight to maybe what we've seen before?
I mean, I'd have to look at it, but I feel like that as the fuel run goes on, the truck's getting lighter in the rear end, and it just appears to be wants to move dramatically. I mean, that's my theory, but again, I'd really have to kind of study it a little bit more. That's the only thing I can come up with.
Gabe, I'm going to chime in here. Coming to what a 2021 to go. Look, the accident coming into the tri-oval. You and the 35 of JD Crow had been hooked up throughout the entire race there. But did that throw a monkey wrench? What were your thoughts at that point when you came through the tri-oval and that right rear got damaged for you?
Well, it turned out we were able to get lined up again on the restart, so it worked out perfectly, actually, if I'm not mistaken. But I have to credit JD, man. He did a tremendous job pushing the whole night. I kept asking him about his temperatures, and he said, no, I'm fine. And he just did an absolute fantastic job keeping me up front. And it's difficult to stay up front when you have the Dale Cup guys, and you have the likes of Dean Wilkinson and his guys in here. So nothing's easy with these trucks, even keeping them on the track.
Well, congrats. You drove a great race, and Guy, I'll let you take back over.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying, yeah, he's spot on. Like I said, I mean, just you and JD pretty much controlled it from start to finish for the most part. Obviously, a few hiccups here and there, but you guys were able to find your way back up front pretty quickly there. But I mean, obviously, a great way to start off the playoffs to say get the win, get the most laps led. I'm sure. So I don't have the official numbers, but I'll say just judging from how often I saw that one truck up front, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that you probably got that locked up as well. I mean, I say we were bugging JD too. It's like, so, I mean, obviously you guys want to work together, but I was telling him, it's like, I mean, is there going to be a point where he's going to try to see if he can if he's in the contention towards the end of these races, to maybe see if he can snag himself that championship as well. I mean, was that anything that did you have any worries about maybe him trying to make a late move at the end, or did it kind of feel like old days where you've got like a Kevin Freeze or Dale Willoughby or one of those guys behind you, you're pretty much set. There's not going to be any shenanigans, if you will, coming to the checkered.
Well, to be honest, I wasn't sure, but he, intimated that he was, going to stay, and I think it was either Zachary or Steven, one of them on the outside there, was trying to pinch really hard. It might have been Zachary, and I almost said to him, I said, if he gets up to us, just pull out and take it, So, I mean, I don't expect him to push me around the track all the time, but if I get a chance to return the favor, I'll absolutely do it. But yeah, and as it gets down to the championship, I'm sure it's every man for himself. But either way, it worked out. We're all teammates, and we'll do what we can to get each other a win.
So you obviously started off in strong fashion, like I mentioned, getting the win, leading the most laps. Let's say, well, unofficially, we'll look at the numbers, of course, going into 2 weeks. I keep saying that. But yeah, just awesome job tonight, man. I'd say it was a lot of fun watching you guys kind of battle out. We saw definitely some big moves as well early on, with kind of running the inside line, then kind of sometimes seeing momentum shift, work the middle top, as you had to as well. But getting the job done here tonight, Gabe. So yeah, definitely want to give you the floor. Definitely want to give you any thanks and shouts I'd like to give, and before we let you enjoy this win, and then get to have a whole extra week to enjoy this win.
Yeah, it'll be nice to take a little break, but again, big shout out to JD and the rest of the guys at Roswell there. Eric and Bud, and we had Michael in there, and we did a real good job pitting. A couple of guys were a little bit unlucky, and Area 51 for putting the league on, and Green White Checker TV for putting on a fabulous show as usual.
Yeah, so I definitely enjoy this one, Gabe. Like I said, great way to start things off. So you got 1 down, 3 to go. So we'll see how it all shakes out in a couple of weeks. But like I said, for now, enjoy this one and look forward to catching you here again soon, sir.
All right, guys, have a good one.
All right, Brendan, that's race number 1 of the playoffs. I'm glad I got you in on this one because there was a lot going on here tonight. I say we saw trucks kind of all over the place, either the pushing and shoving, especially towards the end there. Like I said, the backstretch, it seemed like if you're that lead truck on the inside line, you just, that push, if it didn't go quite right, I mean, it just sent you straight to the apron, and that was pretty much race over for you, unfortunately. So it was kind of wild to see how it all panned out, but in the end, I'll say the 135, they stayed locked on together, and they're able to grab that 1-2, I should say, here tonight.
Yeah, it's a crazy race to be sure. You know, the main takeaway I took from everything tonight was, you know, aside from just being fantastic racing, was the amount of strategy involved. You know, you had a dominant team when it came to speed and driving ability, and they could work their way back.
Unfortunately, Brandon, I think you've at least on my end, I don't know, but you guys will see you've kind of turned into a robot on this one. So I'll have to cut you off on that one. So apologies there. I'll say hopefully it's not me. Say if I don't know if anybody's still in the YouTube chat or not, but let us know. So unfortunately, I'd say I want to get you in on that one. So, but yeah, just. Yeah, I was definitely catching on what you were saying. Like you said, a lot of comers and goers, and then just the strategies going from the teammates and everything like that. There was a little bit of everything tonight, and somehow only the 2 yellows. It felt like more just with all the chaos that was going on. And I'm seeing this one truck here sitting on the start-finish line. I don't see any burnouts happening, so I'm wondering may have pretty much ran it all he could on fuel as well. So. That being said, before we hop off here, definitely want to thank you, Brandon. Appreciate everything you do. I gotta thank / apologize, Dale. I didn't get to use you like I was hoping to a little bit more. It's just too much where I said my brain couldn't keep up with everything. So we'll definitely we'll get things streamlined here a little bit more as the season goes on. But really want to thank everybody also supporting us. I was watching the YouTube chat. So the TJ Travels teams and Brian Anderson, Seth Groover, definitely missed you and your brother tonight. Bradley and Robert. So just love seeing you guys, love seeing the activity in the YouTube chat as well. So definitely, if there's anything you guys have any ideas for, anything you want to add or stuff like that, definitely don't hesitate. Let me know. I'm always open to ideas. So that being said, like I said, happy Friday Eve. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I know we're coming up onto Thanksgiving as well, at least for those in the U.S. So hope you all have a wonderful, happy Thanksgiving. There's going to be a little bit of time off for sure on Thursday. I believe some fun racing as well on Tuesday for the Indy Series. Definitely check the schedule out. Always area51iracing.com. And then, so for us here over at Green White Checker, though, thank you so much for everything that you guys do, supporting us. It means a ton. Until then, hopefully have a wonderful evening. They said happy Friday and happy Thanksgiving. And until then, have a great night, everyone. Take care.